Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm doing a review of Stonesaga, the solo cooperative survival adventure campaign game. And disclaimer that I got a review copy of this one. In Stonesaga, 1 to 4 players control leaders of a civilization in sort of a fantasy prehistoric setting, moving around and exploring the land around them, gathering resources to survive the elements, crafting items and building up their civilization with those resources, to complete goals, move their civilization forward, and see what awaits in the narrative campaign. So let's discuss 5 key things to know about Stonesaga. So starting at number 5, the least important to know, but still important where I wouldn't mention it, are the dice checks and the dice luck in the game, and this is a mix for my taste. At many points in the game, you will have dice checks where you use one of your character's 4 stats, and roll generally a single d6 and add it to the number and check it against many results. And on the positive side, gear you've built can give you mitigation for these, and tests will often give you a mix of results, so even if you're kind of middling, you might still be okay. But on the negative side, at many points in the campaign, there were dice checks that I thought had extremely high thresholds, and none of my gear would help to achieve them. And these were dice checks that were required to move forward in the scenario I was playing, which meant at many times I was stuck waiting to get a 6, which is exploding in this game. It lets you roll another die and add it to be able to succeed. So I was just burning action after action trying to get that 1 out of 6 chance roll. Not very fun. Next, at number 4 is an important thing for many survival games, and that is the crafting system. And this is also a mix for my taste. So the basic idea of the crafting system is for an action, you can take any 2 resources you have, and if you can align them where you have the same symbol type in the middle, then you can check in the book and see what item you might have achieved. And on the positive side, the sense of discovery here is really fun. Also, they do it in a pretty cool thematic way where if things look like they would go together in the right direction, then that logic will serve you well and lead you to good inventions. Definitely cool. But on the negative side, many combinations will yield no result, which doesn't waste the resources, but does waste your action. Also, many results will just be upgrades of something you already have with minorly better benefits, so I didn't see as much variety in the items as I would have liked. And at least for me, pretty quickly in the campaign, my characters already had the max number of items that they could bring forward scenario to scenario, so the impetus to craft more got quite a bit lessened, although I would still craft when I needed something for a specific scenario, like a torch if I was going underground. Next to number 3 is the sense of upgrading and leveling up in the game, and this is another mix for my taste. On the negative side, your characters don't level up much at all. They start out with certain statistics, and those don't change. So the only thing that changes in a major way is they'll sometimes get more traits, which will rarely be checked by skill tests and such. But then most of the time, characters will die and become legends after playing with them for 2 scenarios, so they aren't really the focus of the game, which is fine. And I will call out that you get these cool skill tokens that can level up your characters, but like most other things in the game, these are not tied to a specific character. You can use them again and again for other characters. Now, where the big positive side of this one comes in is that as the campaign goes along, you'll unlock more and more knowledge, special abilities, new things you can do. You can also build outposts and upgrade them with different inventions, and these persist scenario to scenario, so they really give you a feeling of growth in your civilization. And even the decks you're drawing from for foraging and fishing and exploration will change throughout the campaign, so there is a lot of cool growth. It's just the characters are not really part of that equation much. Next to number 2 is the survival elements of the game and how you gain resources, and this is mostly a pro for my taste. So each of the main resource gathering actions has a little mini game. Like in the fishing mini game, you're rolling dice, applying them to spots, and then seeing what you caught. In foraging, you're flipping cards and trying to avoid predators or hunt them down. Or you're digging for rocks underground in a bag pulling mechanic, and other things get unlocked later. So I found these generally a fun way to get the food and water you need to survive turn to turn, because they were quick and varied, and importantly, as you go into the campaign, some of those upgrades I mentioned for your civilization will give you ways to consistently get food and water, so you won't have to do these too much, so the repetition doesn't get too onerous. Although, to be fair, I could imagine, especially in a 3 or 4 player game, if you aren't playing with the optional simultaneous mode, that waiting for people to do their foraging and fishing and such could get a little annoying and repetitive. But my number 1 point, the most important thing to know about the game, is the overall campaign structure and narrative and sense of exploration, and this is a full pro for my taste. So the core structure of the game is controlled by these challenges. Each of these is 1 play session, 1 scenario, and they'll each give you certain goals you have to complete either immediately or over the course of the campaign. And these goals slowly lay out the main narrative of the game. I'm saying narrative, it does have branching stuff and it's pretty exploratory and sort of emergent narrative, but still is a lot of fun stuff here. And you'll often have multiple challenges and you have to decide which one you want to focus on because you have limited time before you get to the end of each epoch. The game has up to 18 sessions built into it for a full campaign. campaign. And then you get to illustrate the accomplishments you've discovered on your own little cave painting. And later challenges are going to check which of those you did, which again leads into that branching narrative. But even on a turn-by-turn basis, there's lovely instances of emergent story in the journey cards you draw when you move around, or in the night cards you draw when you rest. Just tons of cool stuff to experience, explore, and discover in both a curated and emergent way. It's really great. So overall, you might want to check out Stonesaga if you like crafting games, survival games, campaign narrative games, exploration games. I think this one has a lot of things to appeal to a lot of people. On the other hand, you might want to avoid this one if you don't like errata. They don't have like anything game-breaking or majorly game-breaking yet, but there are a lot of like little things you have to keep track of if you're trying to play exactly correctly. Also, there is the potential for some repetition, for missions to do kind of the same stuff, doing the same things to get resources. Your character's not leveling up as quickly as I would like mid to late game. So it's got a few pain points, but overall it is a very ambitious and generally successful experience. And if you want to see the game in action, you can check out my partial play video that went up a while back that shows the beginning of a new campaign. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.